When you're looking for balance,
Yeah.
First of all, it's like a hamster wheel kind of thing. It's like you're constantly, oh, I gotta work this job, I gotta work so many hours, and I gotta go home and give time to my family, or I gotta go do my hobby, I gotta go to the gym, I gotta eat right, I gotta get a certain amount of sleep. We're millennials. There is no that we weren't taught balance for real at all. Like that's why people feel like life is impossible, because we haven't been shown that we can make it all work. We can't make it all work that way.
I think it's because we've been told there is balance. And I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna trigger a lot of you guys, and I really hope it does. There's no fucking such thing as balance.
No.
Welcome to the Warrior's Way Home podcast.
What's up, guys? It's your boy T. I'm here with my co-host Edmund. We are the Warrior's Way Home.
Today we're going to be going over two principles that we find very important: balance and harmony, or rather harmony, or balance versus harmony. Mm-hmm. If we know that balance as a concept isn't something that is easily achieved, so let's not go that route. Let's see what harmony looks like. And the two facets of that we kind of really want to focus on for this episode is mental and physical. Mm-hmm. So when we're going through these principles, like the Do or the Four Agreements or whatever books we decide to, or whatever influences we decide to bring on to the channel for you guys, we want to make sure that we're giving you some type of external principles as well that you need to kind of be able to implement at the same time. These are all mental things that we've been discussing over the past couple of episodes.
Yeah, it's great to have that ethereal. I always talk about it's like, oh, that's very ethereal. It's very up here in the clouds. It's like that's great, but where the fuck are your feet?
Right.
It's like your head's in the sky or your feet on the ground.
Right.
That's the question. It's like, because how do you? I've met a lot of people, and it's like nothing against them, but they're very into the spiritual, but they don't take any action. Mm-hmm. They don't make moves. They're like, well, if it's meant to be, it'll just happen.
Right.
And they just sit back. And I'm more on the Tony Robbins. You don't just sit in the garden. There are no weeds. There are no weeds. There are no weeds. You got to pick the fucking weeds.
Right.
It's
plant flowers.
It's like you want something, you actually have to make moves. It's like one thing I always quote is prayer without works is dead. Mm-hmm. Is like if you're not making moves, you're not taking action on it. Why would you expect to get what you want?
Right.
You shouldn't.
Right.
It's not going to happen. And if it does, you're not going to value it.
Right. You can't just ask for things. You have to be. It's like I love,
especially as men. Yeah. You just going around asking for stuff. If you're a little girl, 5 years old, or a little boy, 5 years old, yeah, you ask for something, you expect to get it. You might not even have to do anything for it. But as a man, if you want something, there's an expectation that you need to go out there and make stuff happen.
Right.
Now what you do on the mindset piece of things is important, but you also have to tailor it with that action as well.
I like that painting. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's Michelangelo, where it's like Adam is reaching out for God and God is reaching back, but they're like just real close to touching.
Yeah. You
have to reach out for the things that you're asking for, and then the universe will reach back, or God will reach back, whatever you want to fill that in with. Mm-hmm. It's you have to meet it halfway. You have to meet life halfway, and then you'll kind of get those results that way. The reason why we thought this was important is because when you're looking for balance, first of all, it's like a hamster wheel kind of thing. It's like you're constantly, oh, I gotta work this job, I gotta work so many hours, and I gotta go home and give time to my family, or I gotta go do my hobby, I gotta go to the gym, I gotta eat right, I gotta get a certain amount of sleep. We're millennials. There is no that we weren't taught balance for real at all. Like that's why people feel like life is impossible, because we haven't been shown that we can make it all work. We can't make it all work that way.
I think it's because we've been told there is balance. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna trigger a lot of you guys, and I really hope it does. There's no fucking such thing as balance.
No.
There's no such thing as balance.
Right.
And like even with water, it's like it's not just it's clear on top, it's solid on top, but then you look underneath and there's chaos.
Yeah.
Underneath. There's no such thing as true balance.
Right.
It's like there's balancing, but there's I would love to change it. That people start be like, I'm balancing my life.
Right.
My life is not. Your life will never be balanced though.
Right.
Whenever you're devoting something to one thing, like you said with the family thing, it's like when you're with your family, you're not working on your disciplines, your martial arts, your your work or whatever. And when you're at work, you're not spending time with your family. Nobody's going to get, it's no 50-50.
Right.
You know,
if you want to have harmony within your life, you have to understand that there is going to be gaps where you don't get to always go to the gym. You don't always get to study the long hours that you wanted to. You're not always going to have 100% efficiency at work because you're tired from something else. You're not going to be able to give your spouse or your partner the time that they require in order to the point that they want. You know, you can give them time, but they're always going to want more. That's why you want that spouse. That's why you want that partner, because they always want to be a part of your life and give that time. Yeah. But everything has to have its place. Everything has to work in your orchestra, because if you want to hear the sounds that you want to hear and have it be good music, you got to give everything its time.
That was beautiful.
I know. Well, I was trying to do, but it was like, all right, cool.
You made it work, bro.
I made it work.
You made it work. That was. I know that is not what you were expecting to find when you typed that in.
Right.
You made that shit
for
work.
sure.
All right.
For sure.
And you may not be efficient at work because you were spending time, with the wifey.
Right.
Or your lady. You can't get. But I think this is important because you said something really important. I think that equal. I think is what more people are talking about when they talk about balance.
Right.
They want equality in their life. They want equal, that 50-50. That's equal.
Right.
Balance is not equal.
No.
These are two different things. So when people say balance, what I really think they're trying to say is equal.
Right.
I want my life to be equal. I want to give as much attention to this as I'm giving to this, as I'm giving to this, as I'm giving to this. That's equal. That's equality. Balance is different. Balance is, this thing went down. Let me run over here and take a little bit off of here and put it over here. And then, this went down. It's like, let me move this over here and put this over here. And it's like, balance is more like a teeter-totter.
Right.
And that's more what life is like. It's like if you overload in a certain area, like if you overload on work and you're always focused on that and you don't give anything to your body, so it becomes all mental. And we've met people like this, where it's like there's so much in their head that they completely neglect their body. Then you become unbalanced.
Right.
And that's when the problem starts. That teeter-totter goes up and goes down, and it's all here and nothing's here.
Right.
And that's when people start getting sick. That's when people start having mental breakdowns. That's when people's bodies give out. And then next thing you know, you can't do work at all. And then it flips the other way.
Right.
Then you got to put all of your attention onto your health because you took so much attention off of it. So that's where that balance comes into play. It's like it's just trying to balance out the teeter-totter was what life really is in my mind.
For sure. When we first talked about this, my approach was, because I love to study the spiritual, but I started out with the physical. I've always loved philosophy and things like that, but I realized that where my biggest flaw was my physicality. I wanted to be in shape. I wanted to be in fighting shape. You know what I'm saying? That's why I started martial arts. I wanted to be able to know I had the physical capability to be able to take care of myself out in the real world.
Yeah.
Now, like a lot of martial arts movies that we watch, it starts out with a guy going to a temple because he sees that these monks know how to fight.
Yeah.
But then when you start to get to the upper levels, it becomes more about spirituality. You know what I'm saying? So they understand that one of the best ways to get out of your mind and to adjust and hone your mind is through your body.
Get into your body.
There was a quote. Yeah, and it was a quote that I read that physical discipline and mental discipline are indistinguishable from each other, because you have to mentally push yourself to do the physical things. You know what I'm saying? So when I watch these movies or when I do these things, there was a point where there was a shift where I was like, man, this is really good for my mental state. This is really good for my spirit. Yeah. What I'm doing, I'm pushing myself. I'm getting better at something, proving to myself I can do it. And it gives me a chance to open up other doors in my mind to say, all right, well, what else is there? So then I hop back into philosophy, and it gives me that harmony that I'm looking for, almost that balance, but it gives me that harmony that I'm looking for, to where it helps me put my feet on the ground to be able to maneuver in the world, but I have a different mindset when I'm doing it. And I have a different spirit to the way that I do things, because I have the energy that it requires to throw a punch or a kick or do 100 push-ups or whatever it is, whatever the situation is. I can now put that energy that I've gathered into a business. I can now put that into music. I can now put this into art. I can put this into whatever my hobby becomes.
Yeah.
And it helps me find that balance. Damn it. It helps me find that harmony. I know, but it's a language thing, right?
But it does help you find that balance.
Yeah.
Because it helps you put these things in different ways. It helps you put different, the different stones in different places.
Right.
To help balance your life more. Like I say, just because it's teeter doesn't mean it has to be up and down all the time. It can be, teetering like this. Now it's never going to be just here.
Right.
But you're playing with it. Like, okay, sometimes this is going to require more from me, and I'm going to let this go. But I don't let it go all the way.
Right.
And sometimes, this is going to require more, and it's just going to go up and down, and balancing it, just balancing it out.
I would say decompression. This is really good for the decompression process because we take so much in mentally that we need to have an outlet for when we're super stressed, right?
Oh, that's why I have this.
You know what I'm saying? Like all of this.
This is my my go-to when this is my therapy when I need it. It's like when I come in here, I just go, and lady, at the front office is like, oh, he's at it again. He must, be in a mood.
Right. Right. But it doesn't have to be, if you feel like you're not a gym person, because like we're gym people. But if you like to draw, if you like art, if you like to read, filling your mind with more positive influences, or finding, if you like fiction or whatever, just whatever it is that helps you take your mind off of the negative, is still an expression in one way or another. Go for a walk. Pet your dog. People.
I would challenge the reading and the drawing a bit, because then you're still going to be in your head.
Yeah,
is the thing. Is that you're taking your mind off in a certain thing and switching it to something else.
Right.
But you're still in your head. I would definitely challenge people to find something physical, like so even if it's just walking. Going for a walk, going for a hike, going for a swim, going for a bike ride, riding a skateboard, whatever it may. Doing yoga. Just doing something physically. I would definitely challenge people to really test that out and find something physically that you can do to kind of get yourself out of your head and help put things more in perspective in a lot of ways. Doing the hard things hardens your mind. I think we both experienced this in martial arts. It's like, some of the toughest guys in the world are mentally tough because they've been through hard things.
Right.
If you look at soldiers who have spent time overseas and had to do combat and did these different things, they're mentally hardened. That the normal stuff in life that would trigger and freak other people out, car accidents or somebody trying to rob you or anything like that. And you see them, and a lot of times it's like, why is this dude so calm? It's like, because his mind's been hardened.
Right.
Just like his body. You can't harden one without hardening the other. Just like you can't have one that's soft and the other one's not soft. Nobody has a hard mind and like a soft body.
Yeah.
You just don't see it.
Yeah.
It's like,
what I get from that is like, you're talking about getting your heart rate up. I'm just talking about self-expression.
Not even necessarily getting your heart rate up, but doing something to where you're going to be more into your body. Even me just standing up walking is not going to get my heart rate up that high.
Right.
But it gets me, if I go from here and walk down the park, and I do it all the time, when I'm working, it's like I'll stop what I'm doing and just go for a walk. Not running, not jogging, because I don't super like to run for long distances. But I will go for a walk just around the park, and it doesn't raise my heart rate at all. I mean, it's pretty much the same level it is right here when I'm talking to you right now. But me actually moving my body, one, it makes me think a different kind of way than it does when I'm just sitting here thinking about my problems, thinking about this. When I'm walking through, it puts me in a different state of mind because I'm seeing what's around me. I'm in a different environment. It puts me in a different mindset. And that's what I'm talking about. Is that getting into the physical things puts you in a different place in your mind because they're connected. Mind's never going to be just blank.
Right.
It's not going to be. Even when you're meditating, your mind is not just blank.
Right.
It's like, but it shifts your mindset. It shifts where you are mentally when you're doing something physical. You don't have that same attention on certain things that you do. If you're working out in the gym and you're lifting weights, you're not thinking about, oh man, I really got to pay my card note today. I mean, you may be when you first start, but after a few reps, you're not going to be worried about that anymore. You're going to be thinking like, fuck, this is getting heavy.
Right.
Or if you're doing martial arts and you're sparring with somebody, you're not going to be like, man, I got in that fight with my girl tonight. I really hope she makes that pork chop when I get back home. It's like, you're not going to be doing that. If you're not paying attention to what's happening, it's like, you're gonna have problems. Right. But afterwards, you find that you think about something differently. It's like, okay, it's like I got in that argument with her. You're almost finding yourself being a lot more calm, and it quiets the mind.
Okay,
that's the thing. It's like you want to find things that quiet your mind, not shut it off, not distract like TV and different things like that, but quiets your mind in a different kind of way. And I think that's what did me that physical aspect gets into.
Okay, so then I'll change mine. Then mine is more the activation of the creation process.
Okay,
mine is more about, because we talked about it. You paint, I know my dad paints. I like to write. These are things that it switches your mind, and it can put you in a more creative, solution oriented mindset. So where it's not so much about the problems, but it's still a way of decompressing. It's still getting whatever is up here out on a piece of paper, or making music, making beats, whatever your thing is that helps you express yourself in a creative way, and you can make something that's beautiful, or you can fucking destroy something. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, it's definitely, it's whatever pertains to you and whatever your likes and dislikes are.
And let's just make a caveat. You don't want to do all of either one of these things.
No.
If you don't want to be all mental, all cerebral, and to use my big college words, associate's degree.
How much you pay for that?
How much am I still paying for that?
right. Same.
But we don't want to be all mental, all cerebral, all in our head. Right. But you also don't want to be all physical.
Right.
Because that's not great either. It's like all you do, some of the best martial artists, Bruce Lee he read ferociously. I mean, he destroyed books, book after book. He had an entire library, from what I hear, of like all these books, not just on martial arts, but on philosophy, on history, on mathematics, on all these different things, spiritual aspects. And that's the part of the warrior mindset that we really want to get across, is that you're not just supposed to be one of these things.
Right.
If you're good at is war, you're gonna have problems. But if all you're good at is philosophy, you're also gonna have problems.
True. Nobody is. Hey man, you're getting a bar fight, and it's like, hey, what would Nietzsche do, my guy? Like, let's calm down. No, you're gonna get punched in the face even harder because now you're a nerd.
But if you're that guy that's like gets mad because you can't answer a math problem and you're in college class and you're flipping tables over, you're probably going to have problems too, because if that's the only way you know how to fix your problems, you're going to have issues.
Exactly.
It's like, so you don't want to be just one or the other. The key is to be both.
Right.
That's the key, is to integrate both into who you are.
Right.
That's the thing.
So since we are action oriented, when you're trying to find, people are going to ask, how do I find what it is that I like when it comes to, whether I need to work on my physical or whether I need to work on my mental.
Gotcha.
What is it that I need to do to find these things? What is the process through which I need to go through, where it's like, all right, I don't like going to the gym, I don't like drawing, I don't like this other stuff. What would you do?
Experimentation. I don't think that people experiment with their life enough. I reinvented myself at least 100 times, versus, doing even to like what I do as far as painting. Because what I first started doing in art is not what I do now.
Right.
It's like before, with the personal training is not how I train now. Is you have to be willing to experiment. Even my nutrition, I experiment with my nutrition. I experiment with the things I like, the places I go. Experimenting is the thing. My different types of workouts. I don't do the same workout all the time.
Right.
It switches, it changes, sometimes dramatically. So experimenting will be the first thing. Figure out what you like and what you don't.
Right.
If you start running next week and you figure out like, I fucking hate this, then don't run.
Right.
Maybe you need to go swim.
Right.
This is like, maybe you go swim, you figure you forget after you jump in the pool. Oh wait, I don't know how to swim. And then you drown, lifeguard brings you back up, brings you back to life. You're like, oh, hey, man, swimming might not be for you. Okay, go find something else. Maybe it's go riding a bike. Maybe you just go ride your bike. You figure out that you're like, man, this is it. Yeah, I love riding the bike. It's nice. I'm not drowning. It's great.
And depending on where you live, different things are available to you. Go to the rec center, play ball.
Do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Right.
Do things that you wouldn't normally do. If you feel like you're not athletic at all, and you have no athletic ability whatsoever, maybe go find a trainer. Maybe go join a sports team. It doesn't necessarily be basketball or football or anything like that. Go play pickleball.
Right.
Go play handball. Go play racquetball. Go do something. Go play water polo. I don't care. Experiment with your life to figure out what suits you and what suits your sensibility. Because what works for me isn't going to be the same thing that works for you. Works for you isn't going to be the same thing that works for me.
Right.
It's like there's all these different avenues, and a lot of people just get stuck on this one thing, like, well, I got to go to the gym, or I have to do these things. Like, no, martial arts just happened to be our avenue. Martial arts happened to be the avenue that we both took, and we took for different reasons. You mentioned that you were very, more of the cerebral, and it got you more into the physical. Mine was the physical. It's like, and when I got into that physical, it started to change my mind. The anger I had inside us, because I was bullied. The reason I got into martial arts, I'll be upfront, it was because I got bullied.
Right.
And it made me so angry emotionally. It's like, hey, you're not just gonna, my mom was like, you're not gonna just get your ass whooped. You need to put your martial arts. Right. And getting into that, I figured out it toughened my mind. Because before, it was almost, I wouldn't even say it was a victim mentality, but I felt weak. I felt weak, and I felt defenseless. I didn't feel like I couldn't defend myself. And the more I did martial arts, the tougher I figured out was getting thrown across the room, getting slammed, getting kicked in the stomach, getting the air knocked out of you. We'll help you figure out how tough you actually are.
Right.
And doing that and having to come back the next day and do the same thing, it makes you mentally tough. And the more I did it, the more mentally tough I got. And then it started expanding into the more of the spiritual side. I always had a bit of that, but it started expanding into more of like, oh, I have power. I have power now. I can choose when I fight. I don't have to just, even though I've gained and I fought my bully and I won. But even after that, I was like, I didn't become the new bully.
Right.
I was like, I'm here to use this to protect people, protect myself and protect people. And I can do that now. I have the power to do that. What else can I do?
Right.
And it started expanding that. It's like, so I don't need to fight. Even though I'm learning these things that I can use to destroy people, I don't have to fight. And it built that mental toughness where people would say certain things, I'm like, okay.
Right. You don't have to react to everything.
It's like mentally, it doesn't make it past the forehead.
Right.
I'm like, all right.
Right.
It's like, you saying something to me. He's like, all right.
I would say the key word that you said in there was power. This is a self-empowerment process. Yes. When it comes to, man, it really just hit me hard too. That's how you find harmony within yourself, is that you empower yourself to do these things. Climbing a rock wall can be just as empowering as getting into, a boxing match.
Reading a book
can be just as empowering. If you've never
read a book all the way from cover to cover, you read that first book from cover to cover, you become empowered.
Right.
There are guys who, and we hear this all the time, guys who have gone to jail and never read a book fully from cover to cover until they go to jail.
Right.
And how many guys come out of jail and are these street philosophers now? Have knowledge.
Yeah.
They might use the word wrong.
Right. Right.
But you got to appreciate that this guy found empowerment through reading these books. He might have been out here in the streets and used violence and all these physical aspects of it, but here he wasn't there.
Right.
He went to jail where he couldn't do this anymore.
Right.
Or at least it's frowned upon.
You can, but it's going to get you in more danger. You can't go nowhere.
And to the point where they start cracking open those books and reading books. And that first book that they read cover to cover, even if it's Dr. Seuss, Green Eggs and Ham, they feel empowered after they do that. They find their power. They're like, I can do this. I can read. I am smart. I can do this. People have been telling me I'm stupid my whole life. That's why I use this all the time.
Right.
Just the opposite ways. Like people tell me I was weak all the time. That's why we use this. It's like finding your power is key as a man.
Absolutely.
And in order to do that, that's why, the actual step is experiment.
Right.
Experiment. Figure out where your power lies. And that would be my takeaway for this.
For sure. Man, if you feel like any of that just still isn't your bag, journal. I'm a real big proponent of journaling now, because I went back and looked at, I'm gonna get a little personal here, because this is how I found my harmony. There was a time recently, right before the pandemic, where I was not sure that I loved myself. There was a time where I knew I was doing all the right things. I was doing good at my job. I had friends. I had my girlfriend at the time, but then became my wife. I was doing good, but because there was so much that was good in my life, there was still things I wasn't giving attention to. So, and it turned out it was myself. So I went to Office Depot, got me a little journal and some pens, and was like, we're gonna figure this out. So and I am self-aware, and self-awareness goes hand in hand with that self-empowerment, because when you can find out where you are weak, you can find out what your strengths are at the same time. It's they go hand in hand. So what I did was I worked out a lot. I was still in martial arts. I was headlong into it. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to track my workouts. But at the very beginning of that page, I wrote down, this is for self-expression. This is for self-love. This is to figure out, what am I really made of? In so many words. I wrote down my influences. I wrote down whatever I thought was necessary for that first page. So if you're going to do this, I would say give yourself the first page for whatever motivates you, so that every time you crack it open, that's the first thing you see. And then you go into whatever it is that you're going to track. So I wrote down, day one, whatever my workout was, ran 2 miles, did whatever push-ups, whatever. And then I would the goal was to fill the gap between my workouts, because I was heavier at this point. I was probably pushing 260 or something like that. I was a heavier guy. So if I could only work out 3 days a week, that's what I tracked. But I tried to shorten that gap. Maybe it was Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. All right, let's make it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Whatever it was, I was trying to figure out, how could I every day do something that improved myself? If I could only get like 3 days in that week, that's fine. I still had a schedule to kind of uphold or whatever. But what I was doing was I was trying to shorten the gap between my workouts, so that I was eventually writing something in there every day.
Right.
And you're gonna fall off. There's gonna be times where you only get 3 days in, you get 2 days in, or you can go hard for 3 weeks and then you fall off for 2 weeks. Things happen.
Right.
But the point is, you are tracking your progress. And with tracking your progress, you start to see where you fall short at, whatever your personal bests are, what your good days were, what your bad days were. And it got to the point where I was able to get a fair amount of workouts in. And then I actually did this throughout the pandemic. And everything that was in the pandemic was in red, because I wanted it to stand out. I wanted it to be something that I could look at specifically and say, oh, I couldn't go to the gym this day. I couldn't go meet friends or have a workout partner. So I did this by myself.
Okay.
And looking through it recently, there was a good amount of red in it. And then, when I moved here, actually I changed the color because it was like a whole new kind of chapter or whatever.
Yeah.
But the main thing was that I was finding out where I fell short and trying to fix what I thought my weaknesses were.
Okay.
Now, I didn't fill the whole book. I wasn't able to get the whole, from cover to cover.
Okay.
But I had
kind of fell off.
Yeah, I fell off.
Yeah.
So, but I got in the habit of doing something every day. That was the point. That's like, the book itself is like training wheels. You don't have to mark, you don't have to track every single day of your life at that point. But what you're doing is you're showing yourself that you're putting in the work. Since May 2020 or May 25th, I've been journaling every day, and it's more of, I still have the workout component in there, but it's more of the things that, like, what influenced me today? What time did I wake up? What spiritual knowledge did I look at for that day? Or, what can I fix for the next day as well? Because the first one was just all about the physical. This second one is all about, it's really about everything. You know what I'm saying? My thoughts, emotions, and actions, but it's really just facts. It's not opinions. It's not a Dear Diary kind of thing. It's a ledger of everything that touched me that day.
Okay.
So I would say, go out there and try to get yourself a journal and just do something with that. Yeah, I don't care what you fill it with, and it's not for other people. That's the main thing, is that you don't plan on sharing this with anybody. Oh, look what I did. I was able to do all this stuff. And no, it's literally a personal record of how you are feeling day to day. Marcus, yeah. So yeah, with Marcus Aurelius, we weren't the book Meditations. The world was never meant to read this book. Yeah. Right. It was his personal diary or his personal journal. I know men don't like the word diary or whatever, but like,
get over it. You have a diary.
But get yourself a personal journal or rather his personal journal was about his thoughts and his emotions and what he thought about, whatever influenced him. And the thing that's cool about that is that, as a philosopher king and somebody who was reigning in peace times, we were never meant to read that. But the fact that we get to is because Marcus Aurelius is seen as a Stoic, and we talked about in one of our previous episodes what Stoicism is and all that kind of thing. We mentioned there too. But just to be able to get a glimpse inside of the life of somebody else and how they operated can be invaluable to other people, because it's like, oh, I can take influence from that. I can do similar things. And writing your own story or recording your own story is very similar to that. So it gives you the opportunity. It should give you the encouragement to do that.
I was thinking about it while you were talking, and I want to put a challenge out to everybody watching, to all the guys. If it's ladies, to all the ladies,
for sure.
Mostly the guys though, because we're a guys channel.
Right.
10:51. 10 push-ups, 5 minutes of journaling, 1 page in a book.
Okay.
Super
I like
important.
that.
It's like when you were talking, I was like, man, how do we implement this? How do we get this something actionable? So I put this challenge out to you guys. 10 push-ups every day for the next 30 days.
Yeah.
10 push-ups, 5 minutes of journaling, 1 page in a book.
Okay.
It can be fiction, history, whatever you want.
Comic book, whatever. Just read something.
Not a comic book.
No, that don't count.
Because it doesn't have enough words.
It's got pictures
in 1 page.
It's
like enough. 2 blocks.
You can't get it. You can't get a good story out of 1 page.
And then I said, I am Batman.
Right.
And then it's like, I'm done.
I'm
done. No comic books. A page in an actual book.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, it could be fiction, science, whatever maybe, but 1 page. Okay. So, and for those of you guys who are, really not, physically, just starting your journey, whatever it may be, young guys or just getting started back doing something physical, 10 push-ups may be a challenge.
Yeah.
No lie is like, but 10, you shoot for 10.
Right.
For the shooting, but even if you're only getting 2,
it gets you started.
Build up.
It gets you started
every day for the next 30 days. Since there's some of you guys that are going to be beasts and like 10 push-ups. That's it. It's like, man, I could do 100 in a day. It's like minimum 10.
Right.
It's like 10 push-ups. I would tell you as a personal trainer, you should not be doing 100 push-ups every day. That's not going to be great for your body. As a massage therapist, I'm going to tell you, you're going to really be in balance if you're doing that. But anyway, that's another note. But 10 push-ups every day, 5 minutes of journaling. Spend 5 minutes, put down your thoughts. How it's like, fucking push-ups suck. I hated it. It's like my man boobs were grinding against the ground. I didn't like it. It made me feel really uncomfortable, really insecure. Cool. Whatever it may be. I dug it. It was so easy. 10 push-ups was so easy. But I had trouble reading the book. Making it through a full page took me an hour. I don't care.
Right.
This is about you challenging yourself, not just challenging your physical, but also challenging your mental and your spiritual at the same time.
For sure.
The 10 push-ups is for the physical. The 5 minutes of journaling is going to be for more of the spiritual and your mental health. And then the 1 minute is going to be for your knowledge.
Or 1 page,
to rebuild, to rebuild yourself and remaster yourself, knowledgeably, learn something new every day. So you're doing something physically, you're tapping into who you actually are, looking at who you are on the inside, not on the outside. What do I actually think? What do I actually feel? What am I feeling right now at this moment? But you're also doing something to where like you learn something new every day.
I would even say, because some people may not know what to journal. Here's 2 questions.
Journal, I hate Travis for making me do push-ups. I hate Travis for making me do push-ups. For 5 minutes, I hate Travis for making me do push-ups.
Right. I would say 2 questions you should ask yourself, and we got this from one of our friends.
Soul, Merle, shout out Soul. We're definitely tagging in this for sure.
Who are you and where are you going? If you don't write nothing else in that book, think about that for 5 minutes. Then meditate on that for 5 minutes, and then write it down. Writing it down almost solidifies it. Who am I? I'm Edmund, whatever. Where am I going? Going to McDonald's. No, but it's like, just figure out. No. But it's like, figure out what is it that you want out of life. Those 2 simple questions. Who am I and where am I going? That'll get you started. I promise you.
Definitely. So I put that challenge out, man. Starting right now, whenever you're watching this video, the next 30 days, I challenge you. 10:51 challenge. 10 push-ups, 5 minutes of journaling, 1 page in a book every day for the next 30 days. I promise you, if you do this, your life will look dramatically different other than these 30 days. I promise you that.
And if you want to go longer than 30 days, do that. But don't worry about 60 days out, 30 days out. Worry about day 1. Worry about tomorrow. If you want to do it tonight, do it tonight. But start now.
After the 30 days, you can do whatever you want
to
do. It's like, but I challenge you for the next 30 days because for a lot of people, just doing it for that 30 days is going to be a challenge enough for them.
True.
So if you want to, do something else afterwards, that's cool. But make it. And here's the thing: if you mess up, You miss the journaling. You miss your push-ups. You don't read that one page. It starts over again.
Starts over.
If you're at day 29 and you miss, you have to start from day 1.
Yep.
Hold yourself accountable as
exactly.
man. Okay. The thing about men is that we're supposed to hold ourselves accountable even when nobody's looking.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to know that you're on day 29 unless you tell them.
Right.
And you fucked up and you forgot and you missed day 30.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to know except for you. And if you can't hold you accountable, it doesn't matter.
That's the only person nobody should care about your progress more than you as a man.
Yeah.
That term, like, as a man, now it's like starting to bug me because how people use it on social media. But yes, as a man, nobody should care about your progress more than you. Everything comes from you.
Yeah. And if you can't keep a promise to yourself, then man, it's like, what are you really worth at the end of the day?
Sure.
Because you break this, you decide not to do it. It's like you break it. The only person you're not breaking a promise to me. It's not going to affect me. It's not going to affect Edmund. I'm gonna go about my way.
I'm already doing it.
Edmund's still gonna be going to McDonald's, which we're gonna talk about at the end of this podcast.
Not really, but like, I haven't had McDonald's so long. But yeah.
But it's not gonna affect us. But who it will affect is you and how you see yourself. It's like I guarantee you hit that day 29, you don't do day 30, and you just
gonna feel it.
Like it's fine. You're gonna know that you fucked up. It's going to bother you even if it's deep down. So don't do that to yourself. You fuck up, start over. Be a man about it. Take responsibility for yourself. Keep your promise to yourself and finish this 1051.
Facts.
All right, guys.
Facts. Where you can find us. We are on YouTube. We are now on Apple. We are now on Spotify. We have an Instagram, TikTok, Facebook group, and I'm missing one.
Edmund's OnlyFans where he reads his diary.
This is true. Pay me. You want to know my inner thoughts? Pay me. So
if you pay enough, he may send you a signed key.
But yeah, man.
Keep an eye out for future episodes and future topics, man.
For sure.
And as we always say, you'd much rather be a warrior in a garden
than a gardener in a war.
All right, guys, take it easy.
Peace.